artists, and welcome back to Art with Mrs. Kellogg. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to think a little bit more about summer. And I started to think about my favorite summer snack, watermelon. And that inspired me for this week's art lesson, watermelon art. Now, meet me over at my workspace because I want to tell you a little bit more about the art lesson and the art supplies you will need. This is an example of the watermelon artwork we're going to create today. Now let me tell you the art supplies you will need for today's project. You're going to need paper, and the size is up to you. Make sure that it's thick enough to apply watercolor to. You're going to need a pencil with an eraser, and for this lesson, I'm going to be demonstrating with oil pastels. If you don't have oil pastels, you could use crayons or colored pencils. You're going to need a black fine tip Sharpie marker, a cup filled with water, a paper towel, a paintbrush, and your watercolor set. And don't forget to put down your art mat or newspaper before you start your project. Now would be a great time for you to pause the video, set up your workspace, gather your materials, and meet me back here and we will create some watermelon slices. Did you get your materials? Great, then let's get started. As I said before, we are going to learn how to create a watermelon slice. And the way you want to design your picture is up to you. But I'm going to start by showing you how to draw a watermelon slice. And we're going to start with shape. My first shape will be a triangle. And I want to place it right in the middle of my page. This is where the top of my watermelon will be, and this will be approximately where the bottom will be. And I'm going to sketch, which means I'm going to draw my triangle very lightly. So on my size paper, I can comfortably fit 4 fingers inside that triangle. Okay, now I'm going to put the bottom of the triangle in. So I'm going to sketch a curved line. Think of it as a smile. Once I'm finished with that, I'm going to take my eraser and erase all the lines that I don't need. Now my next step is to draw a rectangle in. And the most important thing I want to remember is my diagonal lines. There's going to be one at the top and one at the bottom. And they're going to go in the same direction. And I'm going to use my pencil to help me see that. These lines are on a slight diagonal and they also both go in the same direction. I'm going to sketch my line going across in a diagonal direction, and then I'm going to come down here and do the same. This line is going this way, this line's going to go the same. Now I want to put the rind of the watermelon on the bottom. So I'm going to start here, and I am going to make a crescent shape now. If this line curves this way, the bottom is going to curve the same way. And this side is also going to curve the same way, but notice it's going to be a curved triangle. This line's going this way, this is going this way, but I'm going to tuck it in behind that front shape. Now I've got my watermelon slice and it's time to put the seeds in. So when I draw my seeds, it's going to be a triangle and an oval. Triangle, oval. Once I'm done drawing my seeds, my next step is to put a grounding line or horizon line behind my watermelon. I'm going to hop to the other side and draw the line going that way, across. If it's easier, you can turn your paper to finish drawing your line. Now my next step is to trace everything with a Sharpie marker. My next step is to draw a shadow. The shadow part of this lesson is optional. If you would like to just trace all your lines and shapes, you could move forward by doing that. But I'm going to show you how to create a shadow underneath your watermelon. So this is the side that I want the sun to be shining on. So my shadow would be on this side. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples. One thing I don't want to do is draw my shadow only from one side and go up too high, because then it's going to look like a foot or something's growing out of the side of your watermelon. And if you shade up and down, it looks like the shadow's peeling off your page. The trick to creating shadows is you want the lines to come from both sides. I'm going to draw a diagonal line going in this direction and another in this direction to make my triangle. Notice the lines come from the two sides of the bottom of my watermelon. If your shadow goes off the page, that's fine. Now the shadow looks like it's on the table. The stroke that I use, that means the way I use my pencil or my art tool is going to be going across. And you can also do this part with the marker when you trace all your lines and shapes. And shade in little sections at a time, you'll get a nice even blend and it'll really look like it's on the ground. So now you can see the difference. Now I'm going to create the shadow on this slice of watermelon. Now my next step is to trace all my lines and shapes and shade my shadow in with my black Sharpie marker. It also might be easier, again, if you turn your paper as you're working. So my stroke, even though I'm going up and down this way, I'm going across. So that doesn't make it look like grass. It looks like the shadow's on the table. That's why it's important to do that horizontal or the shading going across if you choose to do the shadow. I'm going to finish shading in my shadow with my black Sharpie marker and tracing all my lines and shapes. Now would be a great time for you to pause the video, draw your watermelon slice and the seeds and the grounding line in the back, and remember, it's optional whether you want to do the shadow. Then meet me back here because we're going to have fun adding color to our watermelon slice and painting our background in with watercolor. Did you finish drawing and tracing your watermelon slice? Great. Then let's have some fun and add some color. As you notice, I'm really focused on color and pattern. So this color is lighter, this is a little darker. This color is lighter, this is a little darker, this is dark, next to light. That's going to be my main focus when I'm choosing my colors. Even when I start painting the background, this color is lighter, so I want to use a darker color. This is a little bit darker, so notice I used a very light purple next to that. And here's yellow next to the black. Yellow's a lot lighter than this green. So that's my thinking when I'm adding color. Let's get started. So I've added my peach color, my orange. Now I'm going to add my darker color, the red. Now it's time to blend. So I want to blend where the orange and the red meet. So that'll get rid of that striped look. And in this peach color, I want to add a little bit more orange, and then I'm going to blend that with the peach color. My next step is to add green, and I'm going to be thinking about light and dark colored green. And if you like, you could add a little yellow into that green. Now I'm finished adding color to my watermelon slice, and it's time to paint the background. So remember, when you start painting, think about colors that are going to get that watermelon slice to stand out. I'm going to start painting the background of my watercolor picture. Now it's your turn to add color to your watermelon slice and paint your background in. Well, that wraps up our lesson on creating watermelon art. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I want you to always remember when you are creating art to relax, have lots of fun, and keep creating.